I want to get off this crazy train. Where is the stop? Man, I'm looking at America with great interest. Like, some parts of it are becoming the new Sweden. For those of you who don't know, like, you read some news coming out of Sweden and you go like, Jesus Christ. And now you look at from America and it's like, wow, I'm really curious where this is going. Yeah, they dismantled the police station in Minneapolis City. Like, no, they didn't just fire the cops, okay? Like, that's not what it's about. No, they're dismantling the entire thing. Like, since when is anarchy becoming the reasonable position? I mean, you can look at failed states and see what happens when they don't have money to pay the police. You know what's even funny? Like, when you actually read what they're planning, they haven't really figured out what they're going to replace it with yet. So it's like, first you dismantle it, and then you figure out, Jesus fucking Christ. You know, but here's something else that I find interesting. It's how rapidly the conversation advanced. Like, it used to be, let's get rid of bad cops. And I think, like, everyone is on the side of that. Like, no one wants corrupt cops. No one wants incompetent cops. Like, people want good policing, right? I don't think, like, you're going to find anyone that disagrees with that. And I was like, let's get rid of cops altogether. Now, in certain areas, like in Minneapolis, they're actually doing it and dismantling the police state. Like my mom doesn't believe. My mother does not believe when I tell her, it's like, yeah, in America, they have voted to dismantle the police department. And she's like, like, no, seriously, normal people do not understand this. So yeah, the conversation moved from, like, getting rid of the bad cops. It moved to just dismantle it. And it was like overnight, like, boom. And if they're not just outright dismantling them, they're defunding it. To the point where cops just quit in droves, like in New York City. It's going to be interesting to see what's up. But you know what I also find fascinating? There's a lot of companies, a lot of them. I think it's over 300 at this point, that say they support Black Lives Matter. And that's like, okay, you know. But then you have companies that donate money. And it's like, where is the money going? Well, the money is going to either bail out rioters and looters, like not peaceful protesters, mind you. Okay, the money is going for anyone that got arrested at a protest for doing anything, from what I can tell. So if someone was looting or was destroying property, yeah, they get bailed out. And then you have, like, I think it was in New York, like the New York Police Department says they're going to give amnesty to people arrested during this. It's like insane, okay? And I, from an Eastern European perspective, am wondering, okay, how are companies making money off of this? How are they making money off of this? Because it's a company, it's for profit, it's not a charity. And you look at some of these companies like Sony and Blizzard and other companies that say, oh yeah, they support Black Lives Matter and they support ending racism. And then they do business with China. You know, like, come on. You know, like, just shut the fuck up. Just tell me what you're after. And from what I can tell, this is my opinion on the issue. All of these companies that have donated money to either bail out the rioters, or they've donated money to NGOs that are doing activism in order to defund police stations or flat out getting rid of them altogether, it destroys the little businesses. Like, the small businesses, the competition of big corporations is destroyed right now in certain cities. Like, entire neighborhoods just burned down. And the big corporations, the ones that are multinationals, they have the money to rebuild. Now, think about the world with very little to no policing. What's going to happen? Like, the rich are going to be the only ones that can afford law and order. Like, if you happen to be a politician and you have, like, a security detail, or if you live in a gated community, or if you manage to live in a mansion at the edge of town surrounded by a massive wall with bodyguards, then you get security. If you're a company, like, let's say Target, and you pay more money to hire more guards and people that stand at the door, sometimes probably armed, you get security. If you're the mom and pop's random store, you're not getting security. Like, you're not getting nothing. So in a world where everyone has to invest in paying security, the companies that already have money are going to get a massive advantage. That's how I view the things, at least. Like that's how I think they're making money. Notice how not one of these companies, not a single one, donated any cash in order to rebuild the neighborhoods that have been burned down to the ground. And there are minorities in those neighborhoods. Like there was this lady, heart-wrenching video where she's crying and she's pointing out, like, how am I going to shop? Like, the closest store now is 10 kilometers away and the buses aren't working. You know, you get to see those things. And it's like, yeah, not to mention, like, the huge unemployment spike that's going to happen in those areas. And probably the insurance will skyrocket as well, if it even covers the riots. But that's my point, you know. This is how these companies profit from it. It's just pure capitalism. It's like, okay, well, if we burn down our competition and we sponsor the people burning down our competition, we're going to make more money. And then you also have the companies that just view this as free advertisement, like free commercials, basically. It's like, I am willing to bet that in like 2 or 3 years from now, we're going to see rioters, you know, shooting a police officer in front of a store while having a Sony logo on their back. Or while having like a Coca-Cola logo on their jacket or something like that, that as they break into some store to steal some TVs. It's really going there, you know. Like people people think, oh, you're going to get anarcho-communism. No, you're going to get anarcho-capitalism. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get this really bizarre Demolition Man prediction where you're going to have like the Taco Bell wars. It's heading to that direction. You know, people think, oh yeah, no, this is going to bring socialism. No, it's not going to bring socialism. The rich aren't even affected. And not to mention, like, most of these rich companies are profiting from this. Like, you're taking out their competition. And most of them also receive bailouts with the pandemic. No, they're making a lot of money. But anyway, right, so the other idea would be like, well, what's going to happen next? Well, I don't know, like private police? Like, they used to have the Pinkertons, you know? That actually existed. It was quite funny because every single time you would pay the Pinkertons to investigate someone, they would find that person guilty because they were loyal to the person paying them. I guess that's the future we're heading towards. And also, you know, like the future of gangs and the mafia, because that's what happens when you have a niche in the market. People want protection. People want safety. What do you think is going to happen? The people that are more powerful and they're the ones that are going to be able to provide that, they will. In exchange for protection tax, of course. I mean, like, all of this has happened into other countries. We can look at what happens in countries when there is no more policing. Like, you can open a history book. It has the answers. Just go into Italy. See what happens when the police either becomes way too corrupt and refuses to police certain areas, or the police is just underpaid and doesn't have the manpower in order to deal with crime. I mean, it's not something new. It's been done before, you know? Alternatively, I guess you can have militias, you know, people arming up, and it's already happening where I understand in Minneapolis. Like, people are already forming bands and they're trying to defend their neighborhoods and places like that. The question that I have though is like, okay, you know, like all of this works if it's a crime in progress, but what do you do when you wake up and you realize someone broke into your house and stole some shit? It's like, how do you do that? Because the crime has already been done. You need forensics. You need someone that can knock on doors. You need someone that can gather evidence. What do you do if there's no police? It is just no, and all of this is just like a knee-jerk reaction. It's not something that's calculated. It's not something that was planned. It's just the politicians panicking because they're responsible for this. The guy who killed Floyd was in their city. The city was a Democratic city. The police chief answered to the Democrat mayor, and the senator was also a Democrat. So now they're shitting bricks, and they're like, okay, how do we fix this? I don't think like taking down the police is the answer though. And look at how people are reacting to this. People are saying, I hope people understand this is the only way to break the police unions. They will still have police, just not the Minneapolis Police Department. I don't know, man. Like, I've seen that they haven't even have a plan yet. They don't even know what to do. Please, please, please just walk out now, officer. No use waiting to be made fool by these liberal activists. That's another thing, you know, like there are so many people that genuinely do not want to become police officers right now. Why would they? Why would they? I mean, I left one of the reasons that I left the hostel was because of the mentality that people have in my country towards doctors. It's like all doctors take bribes. And was kind of funny because I was working as a microbiologist. I graduated and I tried to specialize in working in a lab. I didn't even dealt with patients. That was part of the reason I even chose that. And it's like, oh, well, you're a doctor, you take bribes. It's like, okay, shut the fuck up, you know? Deal in a world with no doctors. See how you like it. And then now people are complaining because there's a shortage of doctors in Romania. I wonder why. You know, you treat people with disrespect and then people don't want to go to those jobs. But again, like the people that are benefiting from this, like look who is benefiting, literally. It's like big businesses that can afford security, rich people that will create wealth disparity, because it's a lot easier to control a poor population than it is to control a rich population. Poor people can't fight back. They can't have the resources to hire lawyers and have the correct connections in order to get justice. And finally, it's the criminals. Like the criminals, they're definitely going to benefit from this. One of the roles of the cops, and the most important role, is to do crime prevention. Like before a crime even happens, most people don't do it because they know they might get locked up. Now there is no more police. What's interesting is that there was a rumor, well, there was an article, not a rumor. There was an article where one of the opinions they were passing around was to hire mental health experts. Yes, I'm definitely sure that Chapo or Al Capone are going to benefit from the health experts that are going to tell, yeah, you know, your criminal underworld empire, can you just shut it down, please? Like, can you not? You know what's really annoying about all this? Because I've seen it like 2 or 3 times by now. You get like all these couch warriors, you know, that are definitely going, it's like, oh yes, dismantle all cops and blah, blah, blah. They're protesting. They're on the streets protesting. And when a psychopath runs over with a car, or you have like a Mexican coming around with a chainsaw, all of them stop their chanting and go like, call 911 now. Which makes me believe that they really don't want to dismantle the cops. Like what they're doing is they're trying to humiliate the cops. Like they don't actually want to accomplish what they're chanting. It's just like a fun activity to do now, you know, after a long period under lockdown, you go out with a few friends. And I'm not saying this is what everyone does it, but like I seen some of the footages where the people don't seem upset or angry. It's just some white people that go out and they're like, oh yeah, down with the cops, blah, blah, blah. And the moment something bad happens, they go like, oh, call 911. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I never thought I would live such interesting times. And again, like what scares me the most is that this might happen in my country. You know, like this is the only problem that I have with this. If people want to be crazy and insane and just keep voting lunatics into office, this is what you get. This is what you get. And it's sad, you know, like, because there are people who don't vote for these lunatics and they get the same. But, yeah. Yeah, I suppose you can't say that in America the Democrats didn't try to do anything new while Trump was elected. Because up until now, it's like, okay, but what did the Democrats do? Like, all right, what is proposed? And now you can't say. It's like, yeah, they tried to dismantle or defund the police. So if you don't want law and order, like literally they're becoming the party of anarchy. And again, it's not anarcho-communism, it's anarcho-capitalism what they're doing. It's basically empowering corporations that are already large and have a lot of wealth and resources. And, you know, weakening the arm of the government that has to do with policing. That's about all. Peace out.